This may be the worst argument in gaming. An argument that is posed, brought forward to the table in order to defend and excuse bad business practices or just severely dumb decisions that offers no actual feasible counterpoint, just a simple, I don't care. Or, it's not that bad. Or, it could be worse. Arguments like this, and the ones that I just said, have permeated the video games industry, especially within the last 10 or so years. And over time, coupled with increased monetization and scummier and more lazy business decisions and practices, has eroded the faith and trust many had in popular and well-beloved games, as we have seen our own favorite franchises fall to the wayside and inevitably become a shell of their former self because enough people en masse are willing to posit and provide that excuse that it's not that bad, or provide that excuse because they are incapable of seeing 5 feet in front of their own nose. They only notice the singular data point and not the entire trend that data point is showing. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video about how companies over time like to ask for a mile, but they'll haggle you down to half a mile. But then after a few decisions like that and a bit more haggling, they end up getting even more than their proposed mile to begin with. And over time, we can see those decisions accumulate with one another to create worse and worse business practices and policy, and eventually leading to worse and worse games. But the reason those arguments are able to take hold and even take root to begin with, and we see those trends develop, is because, well, enough people are willing to put up with it and provide money in exchange for the current product. Companies aren't going to care what some YouTube video says or what some forum post is on about. They don't care about it because it doesn't impact them. The only thing that is of significant import or impact is when the bottom line is affected. And if enough people are willing to put up with worse and worse policy and worse decision making that undermines a lot of the heart and soul that used to go into these franchises to begin with, then why wouldn't they go for the mile? If they're just going to strictly make more money by screwing over the consumer, but the consumer en masse, or at least enough consumers, don't mind getting screwed over, then of course they're going to screw them over. It's a really simple flowchart. And when legitimate criticism and constructive feedback is provided and is easily dismissed en masse by people that say, oh, I did it, so it's not that bad, as if implying that just because it's doable, that automatically means that it's good, or saying that it's not that bad, which indirectly states, or not even indirectly states, that so long as it's not bad, then it must be amazing, or the apathetic route, I don't care, it doesn't affect me, a very selfish mindset that obviously a lot of people will have, because we play games for entertainment, to be engaged with a product. Whether or not we want to spend time with others, whether or not we're playing a multiplayer or a single-player game, the ultimate goal is to find and to participate in an engaging video game that we can walk away from and say we had a good time with that. That is the ultimate goal, and understandably so. And because that is the ultimate goal, a lot of people, most people, in fact, will not look past the immediate moment. They will not look at the trends of the video games industry if they even know what they are to begin with. They'll simply selfishly seek out whatever provides the best experience in the now. That's just common sense. But it is exploitative. Well, I guess it's more apt to say that mindset is easily exploitable. That selfishness, that apathy, or the dismissive nature many people have for valid criticism, especially when it comes to multiplayer games recently, allows for these subpar business practices to shine. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is easily one of, if not the worst reviewed Call of Duty in history. It is a game composed of old features, functions, and map design, and even straight up maps and locations, stitched together and cobbled together with a piss-poor campaign, and bad policy after bad policy, and dumb decision after dumb decision, presented in a $70 base price purchase. What any other game would label as DLC and sell at a massive discount, Call of Duty sells as a full-priced $70 game. Not even full-priced, greater than full price. to go alongside monetization and paid battle passes. Yet despite all of that, it is still one of the best-selling games of the year and one of the most played games of the year. When you have stats like that, and sure, when you look at the Steam charts for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 or just the Call of Duty HQ launcher on the whole, sure, the trend tends to go down. But if Call of Duty manages to retain at least a core audience of people willing to fork over fistful of cash after fistful of cash, what incentive does Activision, now Microsoft, have to change that? Or to go away from that proven formula? What incentive is there to go for greater heights and to try to innovate like Call of Duty used to do, and to try new things when you can just rehash recycled content over and over and over again? I made the point with Call of Duty, this is applicable for many other games, because people will come back and defend a lot of these absolutely idiotic or just unfun practices and policies with simple dismissive arguments that aren't constructive and don't bring up any solid points of their own. With simple lines like, I don't care, it's not that bad, or it doesn't matter. The reason companies are able to ask for a mile, haggle you down to half a mile, but then make 2 of those deals in a week is because enough people let that happen. You can look at numerous games over the years. Halo, World of Warcraft, pick an EA game. Games, series that time and time again are able to get away with deteriorating the heart and soul of a game or a series over time because enough people aren't willing to think about it, aren't willing to criticize anything, or are dismissive to actual valid criticism. And you may say those people aren't the majority, but there's enough of them, and that's the point. When you are a company interested in short-term profit gains, which group of people are you going to value more than the rest? Group A larger group, could even be far larger, who are willing to spend a base price to play the game, and then nothing else afterwards, so you get a one-time transaction from those people, or people who no matter what you put out, they may be a smaller group, but no matter what you put out, they'll go for every battle pass, every skin, every store bundle, they'll go for everything. Swipe, swipe, swipe away on the store. Which group, if you are interested in short-term profit gains, so that you can go to your shareholders, your stockholders, and say, look how good we have done this quarter. Which group of people are you going to target and prioritize the most? It's very simple. Gacha games, and we'll get to those games in a future video, operate under a very similar practice. A lot of them can be free to play, and you can get a lot of content out of being free to play, because they're able to target and hyper-focus in on the whale community, who are willing to spend thousands, if not tens of thousands, some people even hundreds of thousands of dollars. What incentive is there to make the game even better when you already target the audience of people, or at least an audience of people which has those high spenders already in there that don't care about how good the game used to be or could be. They just want that immediate dopamine rush and don't care about how good or bad the series has become or is becoming. You can't fight that. And that's one of the sad realities of the industry. Some games are too big for that. We saw World of Warcraft have to course correct quite a bit because enough people were starting to leave the game and to stop paying. And that core audience that was there seemingly wasn't enough to support alienating everyone else. So in-game practices started to change. Core philosophy that was ironclad for years and doctrine. Hey, what if we now change this? What if we account bound everything? What if we stop having players on an infinitely repeating wheel, running over and over? What if we stop doing borrowed power every expansion? What if? Look at Diablo 4 with all of the policy changes that game underwent and all of the direction shifts that game underwent relatively recently. When the game came out the gate hot, but then the reality of the game began to set in and people began to leave en masse. And then the game starts to shift because the core audience of people that remained was not enough to outweigh all the people leaving. And unfortunately, that mass exodus, at least right now, wasn't enough for Call of Duty. And some games are too big or have too big of a core audience of people that are dismissive or simply don't care about the standards that the game are slowly sinking to, and all we can do is sit back as some of our beloved franchises slip further down and down the slip and slide of standards. So what can we do? My opinion, just go play better games. Go play games that respect your time, respect your effort, and respect your wallet. Because they still exist. Because while it's easy to get caught up in the pessimism that this industry can so easily put you in, there's a lot of good. 2023 was a banger year for games on the whole. Amazing experiences came out, and are still coming out. But if we don't want even more of our beloved franchises to slip down this perpetual slip and slide of standards, lubed up with the arguments of I don't care or apathy, or it's not that bad, or I can do it so that must mean it's a good thing to have in the game, then seek out better games. But there's too many great games out there to get hung up on games that simply, at least on the surface, feel like they don't care anymore. No, they do care. They care about getting as much money as they possibly can, instead of being the best version of what they are. And with that, I will call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games if you can, and as always, I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.